broadcast, really, so to say, on the nationwide protest. Don't forget that on Sunday, 7 a.m. to be precise, the president addressed the nation. And after that broadcast, a lot of controversies, really, reactions, beg your pardon, have actually trailed his address. So in the next couple of minutes, we are going to be dissecting what the president has said, while some persons feel that the president has not really addressed the demands of the protesters. Some are of the opinion that the speech was top-notch and that he actually touched on all of the demands of the protesters. Don't forget that the president said that he has heard the demands and the cries of the protesters loud and clear, and he also seized the opportunity to reel out what the government has been doing in the last 14 months since it assumed office. And of course, he also promised that things will take shape and everybody will reap the fruits and the benefits of the policies. We are going to be looking at all of these in the next couple of minutes, and we have been joined by Mr. KAYODE ADEREMI. He is a legal practitioner. A senior colleague will say, Akoni Niwaju Adajo. It's a pleasure having you in the studio with us.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you.
We are still expecting other guests via Zoom, and another guest who will be joining us physically, hopefully in the course of the conversation. Honorable Johnson FATOKI, a politician, and of course REMMY HASSAN also will be joining us via Zoom. As soon as we have them, we are going to be bringing them on and making them also join the conversation. But let's get started with a barrister in the studio. Charity, fire the first missile.
Okay. All right, you're welcome, barrister. And this topic is something very interesting because today is actually day 7. The protest started August 1st, and today is 7 out of the 10 days that was proposed for the protest. When you heard about the governor's president's broadcast on Sunday, what was your own reaction? Let's start from your reaction first. How did you take the broadcast? What was your hope? Because the president said he came with hope, a renewed hope, that Nigerians should believe in the administration, that everything didn't just happen, it has been happening before now. So when you heard the broadcast, what came to your mind and how did you receive it?
All right, so what came to my mind is the fact that not many of the content of the broadcast addressed short-term or immediate pains or concerns of protesters. A bulk of them actually are long-term solutions or reactions to the issues on the table, which is not bad if you look at it anyway. But those that are really crying and protesting are, of course, virtually all Nigerians. But if you try to categorize or classify, those that are really groaning, you see that the larger chunk of them are those in what you want to call those that are, below the rung of economic status or ladder, really. So for those ones, they don't care about fiscal policies, those big grammar. They don't care about CNG, those things. What they want is that let rice, tomato, garri be cheaper, period. I can't buy yam for XYZ naira. So to them, what they want to hear, or what they were expecting to hear is that, oh, now we have gotten to fuel station and it's back to 198 we used to buy before. That's what they were expecting. Of course, if that had been done, it would have been a short-term reaction, like a knee-jerk approach, really. Okay. So I wasn't so much expecting that. Maybe because, for God's mercies, maybe I have gone a little bit above that level, really. So my reasoning is different. If he had come to say, from tomorrow, for example, petrol price is now 200 naira, everybody will shout, really. But how sustainable is that, really? So I have, by reason of providence and mercies of God, been trying to take a back seat and approach things from a wider or holistic point of view. There's no point in bringing forward a policy that would not last, that's not tested. So if it's going to be tested and over time it's going to be sustainable, then I support it. So, looking at it from the short-term point of view, it looks like a not too inspiring broadcast, or released by Mr. President. But in the long term, if those things are followed through indeed, and that's where the job of you pressmen comes in, to do like a follow-through. I expect like, I don't know what you call it, media chat or something to follow up on that. Let's give him some 3 months. And let's do like a reappraisal, all right? These are the things you promised on the 1st of, was it 1st? No, 3rd of August, I think.
It was 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So 3 months after, how far have we gone? What are the loopholes? What are the pros and cons? What are the things that need to be reviewed and stuff like that? Because those things may sound easy, but they would have some mines or some potholes here and there. So there is a need to constantly, feedback the people. Let's not wait. Let Mr. President not wait, or governors not wait for another round of wave of protest before they begin to fill in the gaps. People are asking questions. They want to understand how things are. So let's not wait for protests or agitations or raising placards before this gap is filled. The people you are leading need to understand what exactly you are doing to lead them to, an expected governance or lifestyle they're expecting, really. So those are my thoughts on the issue. Short term, not too inspiring. Long term, fantastic.
And so for you, what aspect of the speech stood out?
Yes, the part where, you see, but from my angle, or from my point of view, everything started nosediving in Nigeria when Mr. President announced that he was removing the fuel subsidy. Things changed drastically. I mean, the following morning, or 2 days after, I went to a fuel station. After Mr. President's inauguration, I went to a fuel station. I had bought, I think, at 198 or so, or I can't remember the amount it used to be now.
Before the inauguration?
Yes, and after the inauguration, I bought, I think, about 600 or so. Look at the difference. That's like times 3.
2 days after?
Yeah, thereabouts. That's times 3 of how much I bought the day before. Of course, the way things happen all over the world, not only in Nigeria. So those transporting food from the market said, okay, now cost of transport is more. Definitely, I'm increasing everything. Before we knew it, dollar became scarce. Before we knew it, naira seemed to be, going down, and everything is affected. Landlords will tell you that, okay, rent is affected too, because as they are building houses, you want to bring cement and blocks. Those bringing it will say that it's more expensive to transport now. So it affects everything, all right? So I think that, I was expecting, a broadcast that would particularly address that angle, because because what that teaches us or tells us is that petroleum is central to the life of Nigerians. It's central, whether we are rich or poor, it's central, really. So I was expecting something that would be more focused on that angle. I saw the CNG bus thing, really. In Abeokuta, we don't have commercial buses. In fact, I don't even need to do my fingers like this. We have taxis. Whoever has lived in Abeokuta before, green and yellow. All right? There is no conductor in Abeokuta. No, you are the one that will tell the driver where you are going. That one, for example, that palliative, for example, may not be of good use in Abeokuta. We know that
but there is a bus that implies Abeokuta and its environment. CNG bus.
Provided by the state government.
I was coming to that. And if I can put you on horse seat, how many times have you boarded that bus? How about you, Charity? Me, I'm not saying it's not there, but that does not immediately solve the concerns of those in Abeokuta. Those in the public service, maybe it's fine for them. But the lifestyle here does not really support that kind of thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, really. But for those in Lagos and other metropolitan cities, it's fantastic. Abuja, Port Harcourt. But there are some areas that, because of their cultural way of life, it will be difficult for that thing to really impact on their lives. Yes, I've been seeing the buses. Fantastic is a great thing in Abeokuta, in Ogun State generally. Let's not mention Abeokuta alone, Ogun State, right? But our lifestyle here does not really, fancy that kind of means of transportation. I want to get out of OGTV, for example. If I didn't come in my car, stay on the road and just say, and then the person stops. In Lagos, the conductor will tell you where he's going. In Abeokuta, you tell the driver where you are going. That's a different ball game entirely, but it's a good thing. But I think the issue of fuel or PMS has to be frontally addressed so that other things perhaps would follow suit.
Okay, now let's look at it. One of the high points of what Mr. President spoke about was the commencement and disbursement of 45.6 billion student loan. And he said it has commenced and the people are free to, especially students, are free to take advantage of what the government is doing and will be doing in years to come. Now, from the experience of tertiary institution in Nigeria, do you think this kind of student loan will be useful? For instance, for instance, who are those that should be benefiting? Are we not saying that it will be channeled to those politicians, word by word thing, and before you know it, those who really need it will not get it, and it will not be useful for them. So, do you buy the idea of this student loan, and do you think it will get to the targeted audience?
All right. The issue I have with the student loan is ordinarily it will have been a fantastic idea, but the issue I have with the idea, with the concept, is that, you know, in finance or economics generally, before you advance or give loan to someone, one of the key things you consider is what are the risk factors? What are the chances of recovering that thing, right? For a student that is not working and you are giving loan to, there's a problem already. It's a fundamental problem. I would have thought, for example, that pump that money into the education, because most parents are supposed to be working. The amount they are, you know, getting is a different ballgame entirely. But when you give someone a loan, someone whose parents is still feeding, is still paying his or her tuition, etc., then there may be a problem of recovery. Except, in fact, my guess is that, you know, in the coming years, about 80% or maybe even 90% of those students will not repay that money. That's my guess. Because even those that have left school, do they have jobs? You know, that's why even in the banking system, before, whether microfinance bank or regular commercial banks, before loans are advanced or offered, one of the things they do is to come and do some kind of risk assessment. That's why that's for collateral and stuff like that. But you see that would be a difficult thing to achieve in this case, because one, those students are not working. Two, how do you expect them to refund that? So what I would have thought, because when I criticize something, I like to propose or advance a solution. What could have been done, for example, is perhaps to have pumped that money into the educational system or sector. All right. For example, a reduction in tuition fees. If their tuition fee, for example, is 200,000 naira per session, bring it to maybe 50,000 if possible. With that, you are not expecting them to refund, if at all they have to refund. But giving people who are jobless, who are still being fed by their parents, loans, and the name is loans, then of course we'll have problem of recovery of that. So except the presidency, you know, in their wisdom feels, or they have the opinion that there is no point recovering such money. I'm working, for example, if you give me loan, I can maybe pay you back. I said maybe, charity. I may not pay you back. But if you give my daughter a loan, for example, there may be issues. Except you're asking me, the father. I'm
sure the government will put in the measures to pay back. Yeah, because why will you give out a loan and you recover your money?
So quickly, you have heard about that policy. What is the measure to pay back? Dominic, do you know? So these are things, all right? It might be a subtle way by helping the parents. I think so. But that's what it is. Let's call it what it is, really. Students basically are not expected to work over the seas, abroad. Students almost mandatorily, I've been there, so I speak empirically, almost mandatorily work. So even when a friend of mine applied to study masters, that's why they give you 20 hours per week to work. The idea is so that you can focus on your studies, at the same time focus on your work. So from what you are earning, you are paying back gradually if you took a loan. But here it is not, those that are finished most of them don't have work. How about those that are still in school? You know, so if for example from 16, like in Ireland, for example, once you are 16, you could apply for a job. In fact, job will find you. Yeah, I'm saying this because I have people that have kids there, and I know as a fact. In the UK, I think it's about 18 years old. So there will be easy way, you know, even exactly from source, XYZ dollars or pounds or euros deducted. But what is the source of these students in Nigeria? So those are the issues I think about.
We have our other guests that we're expecting joining us now. So we are going to go on this short break. When we come back, we'll have a fuller house. Do not go anywhere.
Cybercrime, also called computer crime, is the use of computer as an instrument for illegal practices. Cybercrime practices often result in loss of financial resources and properties of victims, which in most cases leave the victim unstable. Cybercrime has ruined businesses, homes, and corporate organizations. Cybercrime is illegal. Whoever engages in computer fraud will face the full wrath of the law. A word is enough for the wise.
Natural foods are fresh, unprocessed foods that add nutrients and vitamins to the body. They promote and sustain good health. Natural foods could be vegetables, fruits, breast milk, to mention a few. Natural foods are important to the body as they help to reduce diseases that could harm the body. Take natural food regularly.
Obesity is a disorder involving excessive body fat that increases the risk of health problems. It often results from taking in more calories than we burn, which could result to arthritis, diabetes, heart diseases, stroke, high blood pressure, and so on. Obesity can be as a result of excessive intake of food, genetic factor, stress, lack of physical activities, and so on. It can be prevented by exercising regularly, eating healthy diet, avoid junks, eating a lot of vegetables, consume less processed food, and cultivating the habit of taking a lot of water before and after eating. A healthy weight is essential to healthy living.
Yes, we have the full house. I told you earlier on that we were expecting two other guests, and now they have joined us. We have in the studio with us Honorable Johnson FATOKI, a politician. It is a pleasure having you join us in the studio.
Yeah, good morning.
And also joining us via Zoom is Honorable REMMY HASSAN, former Deputy Speaker in Ogun State. Yes, it's a pleasure having you join us. Now, let me quickly take you up on this. What really stood out for you, Honorable REMMY HASSAN, as far as this picture of the President is concerned on the nationwide protest?
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure, and good morning to the good people of Ogun State and all viewers wherever you're watching from. Before we begin to narrow this down to the speech of Mr. President, it is important we also take a look at events that preceded that speech. The economy, doubtless, is in crisis, and people are in a lot of hardship. And to the extent that they began now to cry for a change in the situation, those cries were more of here and there kind of a thing, but it got to the point where everyone began to see themselves as not just stakeholders in the Nigerian project, but stakeholders. And then voices began to, amalgamate for a protest, and notice was issued. Now, that was more for the government, a red flag. And steps now needed to be taken to ensure that that level of frustration, as much as possible, is abated. And the protest indeed came to be. And of course, the first few days of the protest, terror was unleashed in some parts of the country. Of course, a responsible government needed to speak up to ensure that there is what looks like orderliness, at least, to onlookers and other stakeholders. And that speech came. And that's why I said I needed us to look at the events that preceded the speech. Now, when a matter in a situation like that has reached the level where people now began to speak with one voice of opposition to government, one of the things that a government that knows its onion does is to look for things that resonate with the people, and such things must form part of the speech. As a matter of fact, it should be on the front burner of such a speech. And I looked through that speech, I didn't find it. I saw more of a government that is pointing the attention of the populace to the effort it is making to ensure that lives get better. Yes, efforts are good, but when it has to do with food or movement restriction, it is no longer about effort. People will judge a government by result and not by effort. And so, when Lagos State, for instance, at the beginning of this economic crisis, gave an order that Lagosians be commuted freely by all BRT buses, that resonated with the people. So such kind of things that resonate with the people didn't come from that speech. So it made it look more like the government came out to praise itself. I'm a member of APC, and I will appreciate if this government can go back into the strategy room and do a little better than that speech. The speech is not bad, but it's not good enough because of the level this crisis has reached. And until we understand that, we will be seen to be romancing what is dangerous. I just pray that we get out of this quagmire sooner than later. But then, the speech, there was call for condolence, peace, suspension of the protests, economic reforms, fiscal improvement, infrastructural development, the oil and gas revival, the CNG initiative, youth empowerment initiative, the housing project, food security measures. But there is no result yet. And it is because there has been no result, the frustration of the people was triggered. Okay, so I will appreciate if my party will intervene by making us have quick fix for some things. Because if the low-hanging fruits are not made available, the people will still feel frustrated. Okay. I think I will stop there for now.
Yes, thank you so much. Let's come to you, Honorable FATOKI. The President actually said it in the 11th paragraph. He said in the past 14 months, our government has made significant strides in rebuilding the foundation of our economy to carry us into a future of plenty and abundance. He alluded to the fact that the revenues have more than doubled, and of course, as revenues have doubled, it means that states have actually gotten more in terms of allocation. Aside that, the government over time has distributed grains on several occasions across the country. Tax waivers on food and drugs to reduce the prices of commodities in the market. All of these are efforts, really, by the current, by the Tinubu-led government. I mean, he pointed out all of these in his speech, you know, and we are supposed to see results. I mean, he is talking about the fact that, you know, results, efforts, but no results. But these are results. These are supposed to ameliorate the situation. Are they not?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me start with just in summary. My personal view about the protest. The protest that is legal. And as entrenched in the Nigerian Constitution, we have fundamental human rights, and we have rights of association, and so. But there's also limitation. When you talk of protest, peaceful protest should not degenerate into damaging properties
or
looting shops and so on and so forth. And at that point, the government has responsibility to protect the properties and lives of Nigerians. So, having said that, if you look at the speech of the president, it actually revealed a lot of hidden programs or projects that have been put forward that was never seen. And it shows clearly, my personal view, that the information ministry is not doing enough to actually inform Nigerians the activities or the plans and of the federal government. Now, if some of 570 million naira was released to the states for the purpose of reducing the hardship, of course, it's not supposed to be the duty and responsibility of the president to tell Nigerians. The information department is there, and it shouldn't be a secret thing, all right? That by so doing, there will have been questions. Where is that money? What is exactly is the states using that resources to do? Like Honorable HASSAN mentioned, effort is not measured by result. Whatever inputs, whatever efforts that have been, put in place by any level of government, local, state, or federal, if it does not translate to improved living standard of average Nigerians, there's nothing has been achieved. So the federal government still needs to do more in the area of giving out information as at when due. Two, there's also the responsibility of the legislature, both state and the federal, to do this oversight function and perform their job efficiently. So whatever is released, it should be the money so released should be used specifically for the purpose that it is meant for.
Now, the president, for the first time really, came out to also say that he met a near comatose economy. That was the first time he was going to say it, really. And then he said, we have come this far, coming from a place where our country spent 97% of all our revenue on debt service. We have been able to reduce that to 68%. And, in the last 13 months. That's tremendous effort, really. Are we going to say that the president should have made this known to the public even at the beginning, so that people will know the state of the rot and decay that the country was in? Because it is then that people can begin to appreciate, whatever effort that he is making. But it's in this address that he came to reveal that the country was near comatose, the economy, as at the time he came on board.
What I can assure you, Dominic, is that the next president of Nigeria would still say he met comatose too, that there was comatose. It's a ritual, it's almost everywhere. When Donald Trump, even in the US, came, he said a similar thing about his predecessor. So it's a normal thing. He comes in, and that's the essence of appointing leaders. Fix the mess. Fix what is not right in that place. So when President Buhari came in, he said that about President Jonathan. Now President Tinubu has come in, is implying the same thing about his predecessors. Take my word for it, whoever is coming will not say that, oh, I came in and met so much money, surplus, and then life will be fine. No, nobody says that. So for me, that's why in my opening statement, I didn't even make reference to that at all. It's for me, it's almost like a cliche already. When someone comes, if I'm appointed now, that's what I'm going to say. In fact, that's even one of the reasons why, unfortunately, you do not see continuity in governance at times, which is very terrible. Governor A may start building schools. When Governor B is elected and sworn in, oftentimes he may focus on something, he or she may focus on something entirely different. All right, so we see abandoned projects here and there. All right, so it's a common phenomenon almost across the world, really. So, and I hope one day it stops. We didn't appoint leaders to come and just gallivant or float on what is perfect. No, we brought you in. In fact, if that was the case, hope would not have been in the campaign promise. You know, we brought hope because it looked hopeless. So that part of the speech for me was needless. But of course, it's politics. Politics and governance, there's a mix of it, really. So, like I've said, I've mentioned 2-3 examples. The next president will come and say that again. So I think we should go beyond that. And as I call him my Egbon, by the way, as FATOKI has said, you hardly measure efforts. What we see are results. So people were expecting that speech was going to be, going back to what I said earlier, was going to be, okay, after our president has spoken, you know, next day or a week following, I'm going to get to the market. It's just basically about food and housing generally for people, really. So these are the issues, and maybe transportation.
If you allow me to comment, that speech is not general to the world. Trump never came up, because there is statistics, there are records in advanced country. Talk of America, for example. You only talk of political issues, policies, but the records where you have the details there, you can't controvert it. All right. So, but in Nigeria, the speech of the president, of course, it is right. To me, when you look at the details, the economy was in shambles, and that is the truth. Anybody that knows how to, I mean, is a student of economy will know that Nigeria was and is still in serious problem. And so, that's brought about the decision. There's no one candidate of political parties that ever said he would not remove subsidy. They were all saying they will remove it. But that was the only solution to that. What should be the concern of Nigerians now? My own concern is, what is the present government doing and still going to do? Use that, the surplus, the proceed from the removal of the oil subsidy. What are they going to use it for? To better the lots of Nigerians. That should be our concern. Where the proceed is mismanaged, you know, should not happen. Where it's not spent in the right place, that we leverage on the living standard of Nigerians, should not be allowed. That should be the concern of labor, should be the concern of the campaign for democracy and the likes, and the entire Nigerians. That means well for us.
The country.
Okay, Barrister, let me stand taking from the point of those protesting, all Nigerians this time around. Talking about constitutional right, where should Nigerians draw the line? When we look at the northern states now, that is the bulk place where these protesters are doing the havoc that is bad there. So how should Nigerians draw the line? What is the orientation that Nigerians should have about constitutional right? Because they're standing on their right, saying that they have the right to protest, but at the end of it, some shops, some public places are being looted. Is that the protest they came out for? So how should we define this constitutional right, and how should Nigerians be educated about constitutional rights? When they go or flout it, they should be responsible for the order they are flouted.
Thank you, Charity. So your question is basically where to draw the line.
Yeah.
Really. So in law, the difference between stealing and conversion, is that whereas stealing is a crime from the start, like this pen belongs to Honorable FATOKI, I take it and I go. That is stealing. For conversion, the difference is Honorable FATOKI says, or Honorable REMMY HASSAN says, take my eyeglasses, Barrister ADEREMI. He gave me willingly. All right. But if he now says, Barrister ADEREMI, return my glasses and I refuse, that is conversion.
Okay.
So that's the difference. When it started, it was legal. But as time went on, it became illegal. Protest is legal. Nobody has said it is illegal. But when you begin to infringe on the rights of others, it becomes illegal. Once it comes to rape, God forbid, looting, beating people, damaging properties, then it becomes illegal. So basically that's where to draw the line. Once you begin to do things that is beginning to, you know, affect the rights of others, there's a problem. A lady was on social media that said, you know, they broke into her house. That is house breaking / burglary in law. Right. And she said her belongings were carted away by so-called protesters. Well, right? That's pure robbery. Stealing is you are taking without the person knowing. Robbery, you are taking with the person knowing. That was a robbery, all right? So, and of course, it's armed. If those people were arrested and prosecuted, upon conviction, this is life, in fact, it's life imprisonment. In some cases, death sentence, in fact, really, right? So, when you are protesting, you are covered by sections 39, in fact, 38, 39, and 40 of the Constitution. But the moment you begin to infringe on others' rights, then there's a problem. Then you are beginning to, you know, go contrary to the letters and spirit of the law. So for those that have protested and for those seeking to protest, just understand that you have a right to gather anywhere, peaceful assembly. But once you begin to disturb others and begin to inflict pains on them and begin to loot and steal, then you are no longer a protester, you're a criminal. I'm sorry, that's the word.
Honorable Hassan, let me come to you now. I mean, you talked about the fact that, yes, measures, policies or economic policies are not are measured by results, really. But we also know that most times economic policies do have gestation periods. It's been 14 months since the president assumed office, took those 2 bold moves that actually led us to where we are today. Are you saying that by now we ought to have started bearing the fruits of these policies?
Let's learn from the farmers who plant cash crops that have gestation period of 5, 7, 10 years. You will notice that such farmers still have other crops that have gestation period of 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, in between the bigger picture. Now, if you have an economic policy that has a long time before it becomes result-oriented, you must have intervention approach to ensure that people survive that period of gestation. Because if there is no such plan, who are you going to govern? If everybody is going to die of hunger and we have an economic policy that won't get to maturation until, say, 2026, who remains for our leaders to govern? And that is essentially why, even as you have those policies, long, medium, and short term, you still have interventions in between that will solve whatever problem that is really triggering all of these reasons for protest. So, whether the gestation period is an issue or not, there can still be the intervention that government will, you know, come up with, and that is how a government becomes responsible in the real sense of it. And the people will know that this government really has an interest at heart. Yes, I know that there has been some effort taken to intervene in the short term. If you're not getting the result that you want, change the approach. Few days before the beginning of the protest, there was the news all over the media that grains are going to the 774 local governments. Who are those to receive them? How are they to be distributed? And who are the beneficiaries that are targeted? What framework do we have for that? At the end of the day, we have so many local governments crying today that they have received nothing. The ones who receive are saying those who receive them are rebagging them to resell. Now, when you have that kind of feedback, what effort are you making? Or you're just going to leave it like that? The people will say, yes, you might have intervened by your own assessment. There is no result to show for it. We're still hungry. So those are my own ways of letting the government know that there must be a check system that ensures that even this intervention gets to the level where it carries the result that was envisaged at the issue.
Okay, Honorable FATOKI, taking from what Honorable Remy Hassan has said, do you think grants and this palliative is really the solution that we need at this time? What is it? immediate solution and long-term solution for Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you. Personally, I've always said it, that the issue of giving out products, rice, grains, whatever, to the less privileged cannot solve the problem we're talking about. Even if you give, there's nowhere that I've ever seen that a family is given even 5 kg of rice, maybe a Congo. If you give somebody a family of 5, husband and wife, 3 children, let's say minimum, a Congo of rice. Of course, the family still needs money to buy some other items to cook that rice. And when it is even cooked, they eat maybe 1 or 2 times. What happens after that? So the best approach to me is the government should declare state of emergency on manufacturing industry, manufacturing of products. We are talking of dollars, value of dollars going up at the detriment of Naira. What is the government doing about it? The only solution to that is to reduce importation. Nigeria is still importing mashes, toothpaste, soap, toothpick, and so on and so forth. Even Ankara, you can imagine, they have even started importing, what was this that we have at Itoku? Adire. And Nigeria the government is allowing that. Of course, that is killing the local industries. It's not developing, it's not creating employment. So the best approach is assist the indigenous industries to produce more, where we have comparative advantage in giving out and producing optimally. Then stop importation of such items. Then when you assist in the organization, the government can also control the selling price. Assistance, not in terms of giving grants or loan. Of course, you can give loan that will be paid back, but the issue of import duties can be removed for a certain period. That we should have good roads and so on and so forth.
Yes, we have had, I mean, there is that intervention. I mean, there is a tax waivers on food and drugs. I mean, which the customs have actually come out to say that that will be implemented in the coming weeks. But let us also look at it. I mean, I'm sure quite a number of Nigerians were also expecting in that speech for the president to say that, yes, we are going to cut the cost of governance. I mean, because in his address on the inauguration day, he was saying Nigerians have to bear the pains. And some persons believe that the government too should be bearing the pains, of the current economic situation. And so most Nigerians were also expecting that the president would say, okay, we are reducing our exorbitant spending. So we're also expecting that, really.
Yes. Myself. Oh, yes, absolutely. Needless to say,
he's also a politician. Oh, it might be highly for you.
Honorable Remy HASSAN is a former member of House of Assembly. Honorable FATOKI is a former member of House of Assembly.
You aspired to
I am an aspiring member of House of Assembly of Ogun State.
so there are more politicians than you.
Yes, but they are my leaders in that respect. All right. So definitely I am. But then there's a story I read when I was in primary school of sheep, that was more like an allegory anyway. A sheep was told that once you see wolf, cry so that you get help. So the sheep was trying to see whether help would really come. So wolf did not come. The sheep just cried at night, help me, wolves, wolves. They came around and said, wow, that's good, I'm safe. The following day or days after, the sheep did the same thing. Third time, did the same thing. And the other stronger sheep were asking that, where is the wolf? They didn't say anything. So when wolf really came, and that sheep cried for help, no one came and said, that's what happens when trust is broken. We politicians have Sorry, Ebon. we promise a lot when we're about to come in. A lot of lofty things. In some instances, beautiful writers cook up these things that we don't even bother to read at times. And we promise the people during manifesto. Of course, in many cases. That's why when change was promised, we hardly saw change and things like that. But the time has come where people will begin to, query issues. Of course, we're expecting cost of governance to come down, but beyond that will be a mere rhetoric. Because if, for example, number of appointees are reduced to maybe XYZ, and the monies recovered from cutting off that expenses is not put in a way that will be measurable, we're not seeing results, then what's the point? For instance, what's the point? All right, so when subsidy was removed, when Mr. President came in, for example, if everything had crashed, price that is, if tomatoes started selling far less than it was, people would say, okay, fine, we are saying things. So for me, I want to go beyond the rhetorics, all right, and say that, okay, yes, we are reducing our cost of living, we are reducing the private jets we have, we are reducing the bogus or, big salary of lawmakers and the likes, but I would not just stop there. I will probe further to saying how has that directly impacted the lives of an average Nigerian. Except that happens, I would go beyond politicians' rhetorics of we. I didn't say them. Politicians.
Okay, Honorable Remy Hassan, now let's look at the policy we have in Nigeria. We know that we have fantastic policies, no doubt. And some Nigerians are saying implementation is the issue. Are you seeing it that way too, that policy implementation is really our challenge in Nigeria?
Thank you once again. Now, when policies are framed, some of them are complete carbon copy of what we borrowed from the Western world. But the truth of the matter is not everything that works there can work here. We have our peculiarities as a people. And so we must tailor our policies not to fail. Some policies are made to fail because the way they are borrowed, hook, line, and sinker, they are brought here, and the realities here to support such policies. Now, aside from the fact that we have that problem of not tailoring our policies to suit our peculiarities, we also have the challenge of not ensuring that our policies are firmed up in a way that the institution that should help to enforce and implement these policies are strengthened to be able to do what they are put in place to do. Now, an agency, for example, like EFCC, has the power to arrest whoever has been deemed to have committed any financial infraction or economic crime. And you now have a situation where the immunity of somebody is covering that person and making that person not to be available for arrest. Now, when that succeeds, another person who will be in such a vulnerable position is already thinking of who should I make friend with that has immunity, so that this power of arrest and prosecutorial power of the institution that should check me does not work. Now, when that now becomes the order of the day, you see that another institution has failed. So, if we don't strengthen institutions, policies that are in their domain to enforce and implement will fail even before they start.
Unfortunately, our time is not on our side. Fortunately, our time is not on our side. We must thank you, gentlemen, for your time with us this morning, looking at the President's broadcast on the hardship protest in the country. Thank you so much for your contributions. Really, we appreciate it. I've been speaking with Honorable Remy Hassan, who is a former Deputy Speaker in Ogun State. Thank you so much. He joined us via Zoom. Also, from my immediate right, KAYODE ADEREMI, a legal practitioner, and of course, Honorable Johnson FATOKI, a politician and a former member of the House of Assembly in Ogun State. Thank you so much for your time with us. It is safe to say thank you so much, our politicians.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for your time. Charity, we have to go.
You're also a potential one. We are all politicians.
All right, thank you, Honorable Azad. This is a safe place for us to live. This was the edition of The New Dawn. When we come on Wednesday, it will be another set of people that will do the program. But before then, we'll be having a tour tomorrow, Thursday, the Yoruba version of New Dawn. Join us again on OGTV. The programs continue on all our programming belts. See you. Thank you for watching today's episode. Have a factful day. Bye-bye.
Salt is the most widely used